Welcome back, all of you cryptobiologists out there. I am AK, and now we are going to get into part 2 of my top 2 post-ICO coins that are going to explode in quarter 1 of 2018. So in the previous episode, we touched on why I thought Wager was going to be a big hit once January rolled around, and maybe even prior to January as more and more people get this information. Actually, after I released this episode, Wager also released a dev update, and the price doubled. It went from 4.9 cents all the way up to 10 cents and change. Of course, I would like to take a little bit of responsibility for that price jump, but I'm sure it was mostly their dev update. Now, getting into my second coin. So this coin, I believe, is going to make just as big of an impact on the crypto world as Wager, but in a different way. We're always talking about how can we make mass adoption easier? How can we make it easier for them to get into crypto? And this project does just that. So again, this project, its ICO took place back in quarter 2. And what I'm talking about is called Nimiq or Nimiq. I call it Nimiq. I think that's how they refer to it. So I heard about Nimiq on the ICO Alert Podcast. And if you have never listened to this podcast or never heard of it, please download some of their episodes. It is amazing, at least to me. It gives you pure insight into how many of these companies that are launching ICOs or have launched ICOs, how they're going about building their project out, what their perceptions are of their project, and where they hope to go. You really gain a really cool perspective into the eyes of the CEO or whoever is on for the interview for that particular project. So I believe right now there's about 15, 20 episodes out there. You can get to it by going to icoalert.com/podcast. And, ICO Alert, I'm sure many of you have already been there. They list all the current and post-ICOs on their page. But I think the podcast is just brilliant, and Nimiq was on there a while back. And I actually went back and listened to it again just so I could make sure I understood what exactly the project is going to do now that I've gained a lot of experience since the first time I heard it back several months ago. So what they're hoping to do, they've kind of already done it because they kind of already have an alpha posted on their website, so you can go there and check it out. But what they're creating is a browser-based blockchain. And I'm not talking about Google Chrome plugin. I'm talking about a blockchain that lives within your browser. So the average person doesn't need to download any additional software to use it. And the wallet, again, is right in your browser. There's no additional plugin needed. It's not like, MetaMask or anything like that. Basically, you would go to the blockchain, and it's not going to download the entire blockchain. It's only going to download what it needs to. And I assume that means, the most current blocks or the most current information that it needs to download, and maybe any information that applies to whatever accounts you have within that browser. So I know they've mentioned that the project is proof of work, but they've also mentioned that they've been keeping an eye on proof of stake so that in the future, once there's an algorithm that they agree that is secure, then they are looking to adopting that in the future. So this will mean that you can stake your coins just by having them in your web wallet. So again, browser-based blockchain, web wallet, just think about the mass adoption of that. And I'm sure a lot of you are like, wow, that's a pretty cool idea, but aren't there, a few companies kind of doing that? Or isn't that kind of just looking at the Block Explorer? And it's not, because they're taking it a step further. Again, you can hear more about this if you listen to the ICO Alert podcast on Nimiq. But they mentioned that they're going to make it easy for somebody to create a wallet. So if you wanted to get your mom into Nimiq, they have this idea that they're working on where if you have some Nimiq already in your account and you want to send your mom $5, you fill out this form or something and it generates a link, and then you send that link to your mom, whether it be through text or through Facebook chat or any other chat utility. And once she clicks on it, It's going to bring her straight to the Nimic blockchain, and it's going to ask, do you want to apply this 5 Nimic to an account that you already have or a wallet that you already have, or do you want to create a new wallet? So right from there, the average person can just click on create a new wallet. And from there, it'll walk them through step by step on how to create a wallet, and it's going to store all that information in their browser. I don't want to say browser cache, but it's a relevant area on your computer where browser data is stored. And if you go and you clear your cache, it's not going to clear this information. And there will be a way for you to back up all your keys and stuff like that. So the average person or your mom could instantly create a wallet and have her 5 Nimic there. So another problem with mass adoption is losing passwords. I think that's a huge, huge thing for people to get through their minds, where if you lose your key, you lose your money. And people can't handle that, because in order for mass adoption to take place, it has to be equal or easier to do than what people do now. And people can always go to their centralized authority and get their username or password again, just by proving that they are who they say they are. So Nimic is working on this process. I don't think it's going to be available for the mainnet launch. And the mainnet launch is kind of around the same time as Wager. It's going to be, I believe, we're looking at December, January. So they're working on this process, or the ability to retrieve your password or your keys if something happens. If they are able to do that and pull that off, that is a huge step, because people don't need to wrap their mind around that perspective that if I lose this 14-word password, I lose all of my money. So the ICO sold a total of 10 million coins. And right now, these coins are called NET, N-E-T. Not to be confused with a shitcoin on Cryptopia called NET. In Blockfolio, for some reason, Blockfolio pairs that NET with this NET. And I've told them about it, and they said in the future they're going to fix it, but they still haven't. So NET is their current coin, and there's a 10 million supply. And you can get it on Liqui.io. And Liqui used to be a good exchange back when they were the only ones to have like DNT and Tron and a few others. There were a lot of people on there. The troll box was always going. And now, because Binance has emerged and a lot of those coins have gone on Binance or Bittrex now, there's not a lot of people using Liqui. And because there's only a 10 million supply, the volume is really low. So if you do want to pick up some Nimic, you have to be very patient, and you have to buy up a lot of small amounts to get a large amount, or you have to put a buy order in and hope somebody sells to you. And most of the traffic on there, I believe, are bots. So it's not really an ideal situation, but if you want to pick up Nimic before people catch on to their mainnet launch and before they start really marketing their launch and looking into getting it on a new exchange, unfortunately, that's where you have to buy it. So I did not participate in this ICO because I felt that they were charging $1.70 for each coin. And I'm glad I didn't get into the ICO, because I believe it only reached that for a short amount of time. So right now it's around $1.10-ish, but we're still looking at under a $20 million market cap, just like Wager. And I mean, if you think about this idea, if this idea can be pulled off and launched on a mainnet and currently used, not only, are people going to buy it to use it, but people are going to go bananas over this. And I mean, I can see it going to a $200 to $300 market cap right away. I believe if it was on a bigger exchange, it would be around that. Just look at OMG. They don't even have a product yet, but they have brilliant PR and marketing. They just keep bringing their team to conferences and taking pictures in front of Google logos and Microsoft, all that, and they just post a picture and people go bananas for it and buy it up because they think there's going to be some super partnership that hasn't been announced yet. But again, this is another project, Nimic, that has not done all that. They haven't been active on the PR front. So this is another unique opportunity to pick up some coins before a really revolutionary idea takes off. So getting back to the coin supply, on their ICO, they sold 10 million net, but before their main net launches, they're going to do a coin swap, and they're going to swap those 10 million for 1 million NIMIC. And their reasoning for the difference in amount was so that people in the ICO could donate a smaller amount and still get, a good amount of net. And also they mentioned some limitation as far as how many NIMIC they could create on their mainnet or something like that. I'm not really sure what the deal was with that. Basically, every NIMIC is $17 when you break it down from the ICO. So right now it's around, each net is around $1.10, so that would make each NIMIC, once they do the coin swap, around $11. So we're still, 40%, 30% below the ICO level. So anyway, if this is something that really interests you, I would suggest going to ICOalert.com/podcast and listening to the NIMIC episode, because that's what really opened my eyes to it. Again, this is another project that nobody's talking about, but in my personal opinion, it could create mass adoption. And anything that is going to bring mass adoption to the market is going to explode. So again, all of this was my personal opinion. I, of course, am invested in it, not as much as I would love to be. But again, that volume, that low volume has been hard to get enough coins. But again, these are all my personal opinions. Only invest what you're willing to lose. And don't follow my lead just because I'm doing it. Make your own decisions and do your own research. I want to thank you again for listening and taking part in this CryptoBuyology podcast. I really appreciate all of your comments, concerns, constructive criticism. And again, please contact me on Twitter. My handle is @CryptoBuyology, all one word. I love to hear your thoughts and comments on the podcast or any other ideas that you would like me to cover. I'm open to anything. I just want to create a community where we're all interacting with each other, helping each other to grow as human beings and to get the most relevant information we can to help each other make money. So again, thank you very much. Looking forward to hearing your feedback on this episode.